I mean, he has issues, but he never gets stomach aches, and he has a stomach ache, which is just so surprising. I think I'll put my mask on. Hi,
hello, how are you?
thank you so
Good to have
much.
you here. Yeah,
Good to see you. And
appreciate you coming out,
oh yeah.
contributing in the first place.
Oh
You know.
well,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful welcome.
Yeah.
I hope to work with it.
Yeah. Probably a few more stuff. Do you need a
Be
stool, either of you, or any of the three of you want a stool up here?
Summer might want a stool when she comes up. I'm not sure. This stool here is like
Well, no, I'll get something.
It'll be recorded, so you could all could use that in some way.
I'm sure we could, and I think we will.
I'm taking this, David. I'm holding it.
Yeah.
Oh, and I have something for you. I'm going to put my mask on because I'm a person who's never had COVID.
Keep it that way.
Oh, you want to keep it that way.
And I have immune stuff, so I'm very cautious. Have you had COVID, David?
I'm sorry?
Have you had COVID?
I think 3 times.
Hey, don't
Not
worry.
good.
He's the champion of COVID.
Because of my
Eric, I didn't bring any copies of Dust.
You know, I meant to call you because I sold one a couple of days ago, but I have a couple, I think.
Oh, okay.
I may only have one. You have others? Other things?
No, I brought you one to give them. and I
Okay.
thought,
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not mine.
Well,
Hopefully I'll hang it up.
anybody hear this? Yeah, that sounds like it.
Yes, I did a reading here for this book.
Sort of like that. Is that volume okay for everybody out there? All right.
Another painted this painting.
We'll probably be fine. We'll start in a minute or two.
It's a kind of, yeah. You're welcome.
I should ask you later to write it for me. Is it okay to sign?
Oh, I did.
Oh,
You can do anything you can get away with.
okay. Yeah.
All right.
Thank
In
you.
other words, yes. You're welcome to do what
One
you
day,
want.
everyone will have always been against this.
Oh yeah, this is
Oh, yes, that's the
yeah.
Peter Bänoo. Oh, no. A certain Jewish Currents, which is a very radical Jewish
This
publication.
I think it's
They
a
often use
Palestinian who
that
said
phrase.
this.
Huh?
There's a Palestinian who said this.
Oh, maybe originally.
Yeah,
But Jewish Currents often says
yeah.
this. It's true.
Yeah.
You know, I came of age during Vietnam. You remember? You know, you were a complete outsider, and then there were more of you, and then, but when the war was everyone had been a protester. You know, everyone claimed that they.
Well, I tell people, you know, I saw a group of 20 protesters grow into hundreds and thousands and millions. And it gives me great optimism that young people don't have because they've never seen that. They haven't experienced that surge. You know, with Vietnam and with the WTO.
Yeah, but I think this no peace thing has penetrated many generations now.
Yeah, and Palestine, which is why
Yes.
they had Russia in campus.
Omar El Akkad.
Yes.
So, you can start anytime you like.
I'm
Enough?
going to.
All right. So we'll wait for
Okay.
someone to come.
Yeah, okay, good. So there's a pitcher of water if anybody needs something to
There it is.
cut the dust. There you go. We'll start in a minute. There, are you after?
Because there.
Great. Okay. Yeah, sorry, this is all.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm a good credit.
Yeah, I don't usually do
Of course,
this
yeah,
in
no.
daytime, except
I
not
wanted to
shows
take
start
photos
at
for
5,
me anyway.
but
Yeah, thank you.
But this
Like
is
how?
this is a little
No
most things
problem.
are for 6. equip that now. Thank you for mentioning it. Funny, I looked in earlier, it seemed fine. Somebody must have done it.
I just put that little roll on there.
But then the other questions were also critical. And he lost this dignified old money top diplomat of the whole empire. Lost it. Started saying, how many of you are communists? How many are communists? And eventually fled the stage. At that point,
We won't be stonewalling.
we still were.
We won't be stonewalling you if you ask a question.
But we have so few people, we can sort of treat it like our living room.
Like a round table.
One more at least is coming. She may be on Berkeley time.
Oh, your host?
Yeah, Kristen.
Yeah, I almost felt like I was gonna be late because of the trains. Is she taking guard?
Yeah, she's taking Broad.
It's just Saturday, you forget the schedule so slow.
Okay, well, we're ready to go. I should
Okay,
plug this
that's
in
fine.
case we need the room mic at all.
Sure, that's fine.
That'll pick up questions a little bit. That should do it. Okay. And I'll need to make sure the mic level sounds okay out here once you're starting to introduce, so give me a second for that. But if it's okay with y'all, we'll get rolling on this. All right. Okay. So thank you very, very much for coming out. I'm very honored that we can host Bänoo Zan Cy from Toronto, I believe, directly from Toronto, to do this. The anthology is obviously something that we need, and so they are going to regale you with it. And Summer Brenner is joining. She's a contributor to the anthology, and we're proud to have her here any old time. Okay, thank you very much. So I'll turn this music down, and then we'll check to make sure you're audible on that mic.
Hello. Can you hear me or should I be louder? 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 No? Okay. Good.
Okay, 1 second, I want to start a recording.
Okay.
Okay, you're good.
Good. So, I will introduce you again. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us today, this afternoon. My name is Bänoo Zan, and I'm going to introduce my co-editor of the anthology, Woman, Life, Freedom, Poems for the Iranian Revolution. I'm going to read his bio, and then he will introduce me, although I have introduced myself. So, Cy Strom works as an editor. He holds MA and MPhil degrees in early modern European history and has published in academic and other areas, including visual arts. He edits in different genres and sometimes different languages, and has had a role in developing professional editorial standards and educational materials.
My co-editor, Bänoo Zan, whom you see here, is a poet and curator with over 300 published pieces and 3 books to her name. She's the founder of Shab Sher, Poetry Night, Canada's most diverse and brave poetry reading and open mic series. Bänoo is the recipient of the 2025 Writers' Union of Canada Freedom to Read Award.
I'm going to read a few paragraphs, very few, from the last part of the book, the afterword I wrote. It's got a title, Against the Tyranny of Home, a call for self-critique. And it starts with actually a poem, a line of poetry by Nizami Ganjavi, the 12th century Iranian poet. آینه چون نقش تو بنمود راست خود شکن آینه شکستن خطاست. When the mirror reveals your image in truth, break yourself. Don't break the mirror. On September 16th, 2022, Mahsa Jina Amini was murdered in custody of the so-called morality police in the Islamic Republic of Iran. Soon after, nationwide protests broke out in what came to be known as the Woman Life Freedom Movement. On September 30th of the same year, I sent the proposal for this anthology to Guernica Editions. And on October 5 of the same year, we received the publisher's acceptance. The idea was to publish an international poetry anthology, open to submissions from around the world, regardless of the contributor's identity. This is a self-critical volume, as well as a volume of solidarity. The self-critique comes mainly from the Iranians and people from the Middle East. But we cannot begin to criticize ourselves if we break the mirror that reflects ourselves back to ourselves. The outsider perspective situates us in the world. For our situation to change, we need to change. But we won't change if we don't admit that we have had a hand in what we have brought upon our heads. There is no denying the fact that the larger political forces have shaped the Middle East and Iran. But the honor is not all theirs. It is easy to rant against outsiders, to blame them for our misery, to absolve ourselves of any responsibility. This volume rants against the tyranny of home, against the hold it is allowed to have over us just because it is home, against all the injustice imposed on us in the name of religion, tradition, nation, and culture, whether sacred or secular, by our own people. Make no mistake, international community. This home is your home. There is no one else to clean it up, wash the blood, break the chains, and tell the stories of a struggle and defeat. I would like to take a few minutes to thank Guernica Editions for their openness to this idea, very unusual for a small Canadian publisher. Also our contributors to the anthology, whether those who actually were accepted or those whose works were not included, as well as contributors to our fundraiser, the reviewers of the book, the supporters, those who spread the word about the anthology at every different stage, those who supported us in many different ways, such as yourselves, by showing up, by joining us, by spreading the word, by buying copies for friends and those who don't even know they need it and who doesn't need this book. I can hardly imagine a person who may not need it. All the academics, poets, activists, journals, and communities, and the reader today, Summer Brenner, who is also a contributor to the anthology. And by the way, Summer is the reason why we are here. She initiated the idea that we should travel for this book and we should come here. So thanks to Summer, and as well, of course, to the bookstore, Bird and Beckett, and Eric Whittington. So if you like what you hear, if it disturbs you enough, which is another way of saying you like it, please spread the word far and wide, and support the bookstores and the publishers who are brave enough to support this anthology. Thank you.
Thank you, Bänoo. I'll read a few lines from the introduction to the book. Poetry and struggle. Poetry belongs to the world and to all of us. A poem takes human language and wrings it out until what is left is essential expression. Words of poetry are to be recited and remembered. The Iranian Revolution that began in September 2022 responded to no political manifesto. Instead, it flared up to an unforgettable line of people's poetry, the slogan, Zan Zendegi Azadi, or in the original Kurdish version, Jin Jian Azadi. 3 words, woman, life, freedom. The link between poetry and struggle is nothing new in Iran. Picture this image. Tulips bloom from youth's blood. This is the title of a poem written by Aref Ghazvini for Iran's constitutional revolution of 1906. Later set to music, in the national memory it still represents that revolution's dashed hopes. Yet its words also promise. They promise renewed hope with every springtime and every new generation. On a late September day in 2023, the 1-year anniversary of Mahsa Jina Amini's murder, hundreds of marchers assembled in downtown Toronto, carrying posters with the photos of dead Iranian protesters against a white background. Red droplets show against this white background. They appear to be falling to the ground. And as they fall, these drops of blood spring up as stylized red tulips in the lower register of the posters. The words of Ghazvini's poem have arced over more than a century and returned in 2023 as a visual on a series of protest posters. Now, the chants and slogans that have been called out on the streets and in the squares of Iran and across the globe are themselves a kind of poetry of the masses. In the heat of the struggle, they motivate activists, pass on messages, proclaim solidarity, and they construct solidarity where once it was hard to find. When Bänoo and I sent out the call for submissions to this volume, we were looking for poems that themselves would join in the struggle being waged by the women of Iran, for voices that might call back and forth across uneasy borders and proclaim transnational solidarity. Our call was answered by poets from around the world, writing in many languages. The poems in this volume were written when the revolution in Iran was underway, when its course was still unknown, but its outcome was not in doubt. Its outcome is not in doubt. Poetry for a revolution, what's that? We sent out our call hoping to bring in poems that spring out of the present moment. We expected to find denunciations of injustice, laments for the fallen, and bitter curses. We expected prayers, examinations of the poet's own consciences, celebrations of life, lyrical musings, autobiographical fragments, and visions of a better future. We wanted this collection to uncover the dimensions of the Iranian Revolution and the meaning it has for the people of Iran and the whole world. The poets who sent us this work, their work, have not disappointed these reckless expectations. We wanted the poems in this anthology to speak the words that trouble oppressors. We intended this book to be a book of poetry that captures the moment and lives on. We want to demonstrate to the world that this cause is alive and will not be put down. Now, the poems. We thank, as Bänoo said, we thank every one of the poets who answered the call we put out and entrusted their works to us. We read and evaluated all submissions blind, with no knowledge of any poet's name, identity, or place of origin. Now, after we had made our choice of poems to include, we discovered that the authors and translators of these poems have varied origins and live in many different countries. This is as it should be. Iran's woman life freedom revolution lit a spark that will continue to flare up around the world. No one population or culture is the only victim. the only body engaged in this struggle. Those who see these events and refuse to turn away have seen that this is not someone else's cause. If we cannot all be direct participants, we can be witnesses. Witness, I found, is one of the outstanding themes in this collection. Some of the poems might persuade readers that the poet was an eyewitness to the events on the streets of Iran, and that may be true. The act of witness in this group of poems is written as hard reality, sometimes too hard to bear. Other poems achieve a sharp outsider perspective. And on that note, Bänoo and I are fortunate to have found poems written by Western poets who took this leap across cultures and were able to persuade us with the genuineness and clarity of their vision. Now, what about Iranians living in Western lands who contributed to this volume? Many of these poets imagine themselves living their relatively or contingently liberated lives in two phases, living freely here or possibly even there, and bound by harsh restrictions there in Iran or even here. The result is a double vision in these poets that sets up an aching division of the self in the poem. Keeping a wary eye on the society while looking inward is another kind of witness. Sometimes the act of witness seems to confound the witnesses themselves. It comes out as a dream state or a hallucination, a surreal landscape of the mind. Readers may find among these poems versions of the Iran of ancient myth, in which the myths are upended and a veil is ripped open to reveal glimpses of the disturbing present. There are works here of plain defiance. Some of them read like song lyrics, as I intimated before, or call out slogans like an anthem or a march, a rousing revolutionary call. Well, what could contrast most strongly with these than those soul-searching poems, some of which I described a moment ago, where the writer trembles before the need to act heroically or even to bear witness at all? All too often arriving at a doubt that there is no way to resolve. Yet these two are poems for the revolution, which, if we are honest with ourselves, we know must mobilize both leader and follower, the one who is certain and the one who is less certain, the hero and the rest of us. Now, I'll point out to enable you to understand how we're organizing this evening that the poems we received organized themselves into the 5 parts of this book: beginnings, defiance, struggle, witness, and futures. Different themes, different poetic styles, different approaches in these. To read from beginnings, we have Summer Brenner. Summer will read from Yvonne Blomer's poem. This capsule biography of Summer doesn't say the half of it. Summer Brenner is the author of a dozen books of fiction and poetry. Her writing ranges from noir to short story collections to social justice novels for youth. Her memoir, Dust, about her schizophrenic brother, was published in 2024. Summer, please.
Good evening. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Bänoo.
Oh, I'm not sure I've done anything. Okay, I guess maybe, yeah.
Hello, hello. Is that good? Yvonne Blomer is a poet and past poet laureate of Victoria, British Columbia, and the 2022-2023 ARC Poetry Magazine Poet in Residence. Her 6th book of poetry is Death of Persephone, a Murder. She lives on the territories of the Lakantian-speaking people. The title of Yvonne Blomer's poem is A Scarf Around My Hair, Wimple, Veil, Hijab, Chador, Tichal, Mantilla, Muzzle. Worn down, worn out, worn in, it's okay. Women are not worn thin by all the men, male, master, macho, manful, mannish, manlike, paternal, he-man, dude, chap, feller, fellow, guy, no. Not worn out, no, we're fine, just raped, whatever, just jailed, dragged from the street for our, what's that, women? Your bare head as immoral behavior while sisters forced to marry at 13. Not worn down, worn out, worn in. You know, dressing or not dressing, covering up or not covering up, being too hidden. Remember police dragging women in bikinis off French beaches for being too shielded. No, we're not worn thin. Nope, not us. We're womaning up. Tired? Not even. Forget it. We're just starting again. Just starting again. Again. Just starting again, and again. Volleyballers forced into bikinis where men wear board shorts. Are we mad? No. More like inured, angry, irate, ballistic, rabid, pissed, ticked, shirty, rankled, fuming, sore, bruised from beach rash and thrown rocks. Bombs, guns, weapons aren't immoral at all. Women, we're just wagging this flag. Call it hashtag Me Too. Call it hashtag Woman Life Freedom. We're different, each woman, it's true, but we bleed the same. Red, pain. Sometimes we go out just to go out, not to be seen, especially just to be female, lady, girl, lass, lassie, gal, sister, femme, broad, miss. No, we're not worn thin, not worn out, not tired, scared or scarred, sure, maybe a little terrified, let's face it, it's a lot. Something from the 70s, Roe v. Wade, gone. In 1936, Iran had the Great Unveiling. Enforced not to then, enforced to now. Then protected by police if they didn't, now beaten by police if they don't. And that's okay, I can't keep track either. Are you taking notes? Have you got this being woman thing figured out? That's okay. Just tie that silk scarf around your mouth, scream therein, breathe, as if you are acceptable, tolerable, legalized, approved, endorsed, legitimate, allowed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Summer. The next poem is going to be read by Cy Strom. He's going to read a poem written by Davood Bayat and translated by Ali Asadullahi. I'm going to read the bios of the poet and the translator. Davood Bayat is an Iranian-based poet and visual artist. He has published 2 Persian poetry collections. He has had several conceptual art exhibits around the country in collaboration with renowned domestic galleries. Ali Asadullahi, the translator, is an Iranian poet and translator. He is the author of 6 Persian poetry books. His poems and translations have appeared in Bellingham Review, Denver Quarterly, Epoch, Hayden's Fairy Review, Los Angeles Review, and others. I would like to just mention that we offered the option of using a pen name for anyone who was submitting, especially people who live in Iran, which is the case for Davood Bayat and Ali Asadullahi. But with the exception of one person, everybody else wanted to be published under their own name. So now please welcome Cy to the stage.
The Name by Davood Bayat and Ali Asadullahi. The epitaph on Gina Amini's grave reads thus: Gina, dear, you will not die. your name will turn into a symbol. The garden is called the garden. The flower is yet the flower, and it's called the flower. The tree, though cut down, is called the tree. The city is called the cities, and the street, the street. Just like darkness in the daylight, that is still darkness, history is called history, despite repetitions. Objects and things are called objects and things. If bullets rain, it won't be called rain. It's called bullets. The far sea is the far sea, and the bright star, even in dusty air, is a bright star. Destiny is still called destiny, and the dream is still the dream. Nothing has changed, nothing will be named twice. There is only courage with numerous names, and heroes with indistinct faces. Each has lost a life and gained a name whose glory echoes in heavens and gently asks, say the symbol word, that this door may open, that it may begin. And that poem was from the Defiance section of this book. Now, Bänoo, are you introducing Summer? I am introducing Summer. Summer is reading from Leila Farjami's poem. She will introduce Leila Farjami, and this is from the struggle section. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This is by Leila Farjami. She is a poet and a psychotherapist. In addition to authoring several books of Persian poetry, her work has been recognized by Nimrod Journal, Diode, am I saying Diode? Diode, thank you. I thought that sounded funny. Silk Road Review, and more. Her poem Caspian Sea was nominated for a Pushcart Prize. The name of the poem is The End Without an End, and it's for Serena Esmailzadeh, please, help, killed in an anti-regime demonstration in Iran on September 23rd, 2022. Who knew bullets could immortalize us, make us as endless as the blood streaks on the city boulevards? Death hands us 1,000 wings, 1,000 skies. In our motherland, the moon revives the decaying stars, descends to enfold the mangled bodies in the alleys, tends to their final sighs. Being Eve's daughters, bare and elemental as water and light, we speak the native tongue of the shunned, rename all dying things to revive them, the animals, birds, trees. We walk footless from one zodiac to another, breathe fertile air into the infinite ether. We make love to the wind, like banyan roots summon the night's flesh, vine around its waxen darkness. At dawn we are sisters who bury the young bones of the dead, lay white lilies on their nameless graves, huddle like black sparrows in the chilling gust. Thank you.
And now, from the witness section, Cy is going to read Summer Brennan's poem. Please welcome Cy, impersonating a summer.
Sure, thank you. Thanks, Bänoo. This is from the witness section. These witnesses are both near and far. Beautiful Stranger by Summer Brenner. He appears on a screen visible from far away and looks directly at me and speaks. He looks and speaks in a soft voice, soft as a wave rolling on shore. In soft Farsi words, he speaks. His thick caterpillar brows and somber eyes perch like black doves over his beautiful nose. His soft words whisper like a leaf in the wind, echo like a child's voice trapped in a well. He says, if you see this, he says, it means, he says, I've disappeared. And Bänoo will come up next to read from the futures section of the book. She will read her own poem, She Said, He Said.
So this poem is the very last poem of the book. She said, he said, for Roya Heshmati. January 3, 2024. This morning, they contacted me from the Sharia court to carry out the sentence. I reported to the Public Prosecutor's Office, 7th Division, Tehran, Iran. The guard said, put your hijab on. I said, I'm here to be whipped for not wearing a hijab. The public executioner was summoned. He said, put your hijab on and come with me. I won't. You won't? I lash you so you know where you are. We'll also open a new case file on your dossier. You will be served 74 more lashes. I didn't put it on. The man repeated the command. Didn't I tell you to put it on? I didn't put it on. A woman in chador pulled a scarf over my head. I removed it, back and forth. They handcuffed me from the back, pulled the scarf over my head. We went down to the basement with the judge, the public executioner, and the chadori woman. The woman sighed. I know. The turbaned judge laughed in my face. He reminded me of the old rag and bone man in Sadiq Hedayat's Blind Owl. I turned my face away. They opened an iron door to a small room with cement walls, with a bed in the corner, with iron handcuffs and shackles. By the bedside, there was an iron instrument that looked like a painter's easel. The judge asked, "How are you feeling, ma'am?" I didn't respond. "I'm talking to you, ma'am." I didn't respond. The public executioner said, "Remove your jacket." I hanged my jacket and headscarf from the torture easel. He said, "Put your scarf on." "I won't," I said. "Put your Quran under your arm as you should and lash me." The woman came up. "Please don't be stubborn." She pulled the scarf over my head. The judge said, "Don't lash too sharply." The man began. He whipped me on my shoulders, shoulder blades, buttocks, thighs, calves, again and again. I wasn't counting, was singing. under my breath. In the name of woman, in the name of life, the cloak of slavery was rent. Our dark night will turn into dawn, and whips will break with the axe. It was finished. We left. I didn't let them think it hurt. We went up to the office of the public executioner judge. I removed my hijab. The woman said, "Please put it on," and pulled the scarf over my head. The judge said, "If you want to live differently, you can live abroad." I said, "This country belongs to all." He said, "Yes, we're not happy either, but it's the law." I said, "Let the law do what it can. We'll continue our resistance." We left the room, and I removed my hijab. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your attendance and for your listening. I guess we have a little time for a short Q&A. If you would like to ask questions, we would be happy to try to answer your questions. Who wants to ask the last question? Please go first.
Well, here's something that we haven't spoken of anywhere to our audiences, the cover of this book. So the Persian reads Zan Zandagi Azadi, Woman, Life, Freedom. And we asked Mohammed Sabokro, a graphic designer in Toronto, to design for us a wall with those stenciled words. Guernica Editions supplied Errol Richardson as the book designer to take that and to transform it into this cover. We suggested red as a dominant color for the volume. Eric showed us fonts, and we chose the spiky, harsh font there for the cover of the book. I think it makes a statement.
I have a question about the piece you just read. That's from you. It felt very real. Is this something you have witnessed, or this was your imagination, or how much research was behind it?
I've been writing about different rounds of protests in Iran. You know, I have written extensively, especially about, 2019 protests, a long piece. But for this round of protests, what I've been doing, I've been reading a lot as things were unfolding. Like this was actually a story that went viral, and this is like the first person testimony of Roya Heshmati, the person, but she wrote it in Persian. So what I did, I actually just, I've been writing more persona pieces for this round. Like I've written other poems. Again, I'm the person who's speaking. Like and it's taken, like, of course, emotionally, it hasn't been easy. But like Cy has witnessed what I go through, or I went through when I was writing those pieces. Yes, but I felt very close. I felt really. I think, especially about this round of protests, Mahsa Amini's murder and everything else that happened after. A lot of us felt it could have been us. And every individual story that was shared, we felt it could be my story. So that's how I felt, So yeah, it was real for me. At the moment that I was writing it, I was Roya Heshmati, to say the least.
Yes, I must say I really felt it as an Iranian woman. I was 21 years old when I was detained the first time by morality police. Mahsa Amini was 22. and I was able, after 1 hour and a half, to release myself from that situation. That took, that I never forget that moment, because if they took me to the office, it was the end of the life I had back then. I was a student, you know, all of it was gone. And who knows what would have happened. When Mahsa died, the problem was that they took her to the car, because there is a car that comes after they take you, and then from the car you go somewhere else. So there are stages. So you must not get to the next stage. You must stay on a street.
Yeah.
The issue was that she got to the car, and what happened there nobody knows. And
Yeah.
she ended up in the hospital. So when that happened, I thought it could have been me. So what you said, and that you put yourself into the scenario, is really, really just. And I really felt it. I really imagined every moment that you just wrote, that it was going to happen. And that for me was really, really, it just touched me.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, if you know how the Iranian court is, it's not a place you want to go. It's not beautiful at all. Not that I've been there, I've seen it in movies, documentaries. Yeah, it's a very difficult place to go to. So thank you
Yeah,
for that.
no, thank you. I'm going to, if you allow me, to read you the poem I wrote immediately after Mahsa Amini's
Yeah,
death.
yeah, please.
And Mahsa Amini was murdered on September 16th. This poem was published on September 25th in the Dissident Voice. You can check it online. It's called In the Name of Allah. Again, another persona piece. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful, I shoot you at close range if you protest bloodshed. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful, I beat you to death if you claim your body. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful, I rape you to teach you chastity. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful, I torture you so you confess to crimes you didn't commit. All I do in the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful. And when you turn against Allah, I tear you to pieces as a heretic. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful, I have turned a God-loving nation against God, so that millions are fitting targets of my holy wrath. May God save Allah, as I have damned him forever. Thank you so much. So yeah, I have impersonated Allah. I have impersonated many people that, you know, yeah.
That was a good one.
I have a question for Cy, actually.
Good.
Because we are gathered here as humans, men, women, and hopefully all feminists, quotation, not the cliche definition necessarily. You're a man and you're not Iranian. What made you interested in this project? I'm really curious.
I live with Bänoo, and the interest was inescapable. But as I write in the introduction, it's, after all, a universal cause. It's the cause of humanity, I think. The women's revolution in Iran, after all, didn't intend to and did not in practice confine itself to women, to women's issues, to the hijab, to the definition of morality according to the morality police or the mullahs in Iran. In fact, it was a movement, a revolution for rights, freedom, dignity. And as I say, it aimed across nations, across continents, across oceans, to be a movement, or a part of the movement for the liberation, freedom, and dignity of all. It's not simply a women's movement, nor was it. It's the movement of the brave Iranian women and men, but it's not an Iranian women's movement. Some of the poems we received, for instance, possibly written by people themselves who are not Iranian and who perhaps took a narrow view of this, we didn't accept. Again, we didn't know who it was who was submitting these poems. Poems that were paeans to flowing hair, to, poems that were specific denunciations of hijab, for instance. There are some poems in here that are excellent poems that on that theme or on these themes. But this is a narrowing of the issue, and in fact, when we read poems that confined themselves, say, to these matters, we saw how narrow and inconsequential some of them were, in contrast to poems that broadened the question. It's a universal one.
And if I may add, because I'm the one who started the idea of this anthology, and I wanted Cy to be part of it, and I tell you why. Cy is a polyglot. He knows at least 15 languages, and on any given day, he reads long, in-depth articles in at least 3 or 4 languages about art, culture, politics of different countries. And he's deeply interested in the world. I wanted this anthology to speak to the world, and not to be just a product of an Iranian speaking to other Iranians. And that's how I have to say, there are many artists, many poets, many writers of Iranian background outside Iran. You wouldn't know, if you are not an Iranian, you probably have no idea how active they are. Because what they do, they mostly produce pieces for themselves. It is produced by Iranians in the Persian language for other Iranians. And even the biggest, like festivals that draw hundreds of thousands of people out, again, is completely ignored by the outside because it's that kind of product. And I didn't want that. And I think that it's time for us, for Iranians, to write for the world. And it's time that the world writes for us and stands in solidarity with us. But that wouldn't be possible if we take a narrow approach. And to broaden that, I wanted, and we read the poems, we scored the poems independently, and then we compared the scores. So, and the ones that mostly were high, but both of us were, and then we discussed some other pieces that we really cared about. And that's how it happened, without knowing who the writer is, just because of the strength of the piece. And so I wanted the poems to speak to Cy. And I wanted Iranians to know, you are not writing only for me as an Iranian. You're writing for someone who's not an Iranian. And I wanted non-Iranians to know that you are also now writing for me as an Iranian. Write something that I care about, that I resonate with. That's how the internationalism in this anthology was conceived and was born.
As a coda to this, I'll read you a few lines written by another man. His name is Ehab Lotayef. He was born in Egypt. He lives in Montreal now in Canada. Just the last stanza of his poem called Jin Jian Azadi. That's the Kurdish for woman, life, freedom. The original version, in fact, dedicated to Masa Amini. And it picks up towards the end. The world is yours, so speak of freedom, not of fear. Your scarf is yours to wear or tear, and march, defy, and dare. And as you march, you chant out loud, so near and far we'll hear. Women will be free. This is a man writing, Ehab Lotayef, an Egyptian.
And another man who did something even more interesting than that, like in terms of voice, Mansour Nurbakhsh, an Iranian man. Again, just I read a few lines of what he wrote. Yeah. If you come to me, never come indifferently. Come like a fire needed for one lost in darkness, the light of an indelible intensity, determined. I'm a woman. This is a man writing. Again, a persona writing. So that's, I guess, how a lot of us felt. We felt we were the protesters. Regardless of our gender, regardless of our identities, we were all in that together. Really, we cared deeply about each other. And I felt that this round of protest was something that brought all Iranians together. Across lines of, like, because they were strong, like lines of ethnicity, religion, language. We were all in this together. There was a beautiful unity that no other round of protest quite achieved that. So that's probably the inspiration behind, impersonating each other. Please go on and impersonate people as different from you as possible. The world will be a better place.
Some people call that cultural appropriation.
I know.
As a fiction writer, I'm thinking, no, I don't want to just write about me.
Yeah.
But it has become a controversial subject.
Yeah. Actually, in this round of protests, Iranians were chanting. We were at some of the Iranian protests. One of the chants in Canada was, Iranians made their choice. Hey, Canada, be our voice. So Iranians deliberately wanted other people to speak for us. Because, Iranians as a community who are very marginalized. We're not even part of the discussions of diversity. When we talk about diversity, we talk about different identities born and raised in Canada, in United States, or in other countries. Immigrants, those who actually remember the life back there and speak the language, are not even part of this discussion about diversity and inclusion. And this is another thing that's a significant group are absent from, we usually, like, immigrant stories are told from the perspective of the second or third generation. The child who has gone to school, who has lost their accent, who a lot of times doesn't even know the language of their homeland. And those people become ambassadors of their own culture. It's like me, who I'm the ambassador of Iran right now, but I studied English literature. And the only advantage I have is that I can speak English and I write in English. Those people who are actually experts in Iran, they're not here and they would never be in places that you guys go because they talk about Iran in Persian. This, ironically, has marginalized the community. And this is not only, about Iranians. It happens to many different immigrant communities. Yeah. So feel free to write for us. I have it from my fellow Iranians that we are happy that other people write about us.
What parallels could you draw from the struggles in the book with the struggles of other women from other countries, or even here in the United States?
Well, when the protests started when Mahsa Amini died, I was actually, we were in Edmonton. I was the writer in residence at University of Alberta. So we attended protests there. And so we were there and we were walking and people were walking and chanting. And I looked back and I saw two women who obviously weren't Iranians. So I smiled and they came up, the older woman started talking to me and she said she's from Jordan and she's a feminist. She was a fierce feminist. She was a math teacher and, and her daughter was a Palestinian. So again, both identified strongly as feminists. And later on when we talked, she said to me that she had always wished that such a movement would come out of the Arab world. But now that it has emerged from Iran, she's happy to support. And, and for a long time, actually, her daughter was volunteering with Shab Sher that I was running in Alberta. And I think, in the literary community, I've seen women and men, those who are actually, I would say, feminist people who believe in equality. Those strongly resonated. They said, no, it's not actually about Iran. The struggle of women, it might be imposition of hijab in Iran. Here it might be, abortion, and in other countries, it might have a different, face or different manifestation. But it's more or less the same. It's about not giving women a choice. So I think those people who understand this, there are many, many parallels. And I know I've heard that, people in Turkey, in Afghanistan, there was a lot of support for this movement, and I think, and even here, well, a lot of people who reviewed this book, and even blurbed the book. The book blurbs are, like Lillian Allen, of Jamaican background, the current poet laureate of Toronto. And then we have people like, I'm just talking about Julie Rack, who teaches at University of Alberta, cares about gender, and the very prominent Canadian feminist Judy Rebick also has blurbed the book. So it has resonated with a lot of feminists around the world. And that's how I look at it. I think, there are some people might want to claim this as their own. Well, even, just another story. We were walking in another protest in Alberta. We were just chanting, woman, life, freedom. A woman who was pulling the stroller with a baby, and that wasn't even part of the protest and wasn't an Iranian. She started chanting too, woman, life, freedom, because it resonates with a lot of people. This chant has nothing about nationality or about religion or about any piece of identity. It's about the fact that, women are life givers or should be considered equal in life, and freedom cannot come about without including the question of women and freedom and women's life, actually, because a lot of times, like in questions of life and death, women in question of abortion, in hijab, and in other patriarchal systems, it's. Thank you. Yes.
Just in regard to what you're saying, the attack on the environment is an attack on women. Women as life givers have always been in the forefront of the fight to save the planet, or this habitat or that habitat, whether it's Rachel Carlson or Judy Berry. It goes on, the Love Canal. It's always women in the forefront of that, because it is the struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I just applaud you and show different, another level of that.
Yeah, when we talk about life, exactly as you say, one manifestation of life could be environment. But even, women should be allowed to live freely. Basically, this is what the chant means in one way, Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
I'm curious about where things stand now. These protests were 3 years ago, and the main time that Iran has been in the news since is when it was bombed and 1,000 people were killed. And so I just kind of wonder what has been the effect of these protests, and can you update the actual non-poetic events for us?
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, where are these protests now? What has been their effect, or where are they now? Women are still defying the hijab mandate, and again, the regime just like sometimes just relaxes the the hold, or the, but again they come in, because they have not changed the law. But if you go to like large cities in Iran, a lot of women go out without covering themselves, but the regime has not changed the law, which means that anytime they can arrest, and they can torture. And the families of the protesters, because I think they arrested, and tens of thousands of people for this, and we don't know the number of people who have been injured. A lot of them do not go to hospitals for fear of arrest, because if you even go, you can be arrested. And even in the recent drought that the dams have dried, tens of bodies, like around 70 bodies, have been found in shapes that obviously, like with their hands and feet tied, and things like that. And the security have told the people, don't report it. The journalists should not report this. So they disposed of the bodies in whatever way they could, and when one person is arrested or even killed, the whole family is under enormous pressure to be silent, either to be they want to tell them, if you are silent, we release your loved one, which is totally wrong, and they don't do that. Or they even some of the mothers have also been arrested. The mother of Kian Pir Falak, the 10-year-old child who was killed again in the protest. The family was traveling in a car, and they actually deliberately shot the people in the car. So the father became paralyzed, and the young boy died. And the mother has been arrested a number of times, and nobody knows where she is. This is how it goes. Because they don't want other members of the family to report, to talk to the media. So we don't know the extent of persecution and torture, and we don't exactly know how, but it still continues. A lot of protesters actually, who even after a while were released, they committed suicide. So immediately after release, almost like 1 or 2 days after.
John mentioned the movie, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, right? The one that won the Cannes Award. That references this movement quite a bit. I don't know whether you have seen the movie or not. It actually shows a family of a judge whose daughters are actually part of the movement, and they have friends, but the judge is part of the system. It's a brilliantly made movie. It's very symbolic, and it's available for streaming or other places you can see it. It's made by Rasulov, and he also escaped Iran with some of the players. Yeah.
That is a good example, and see how Iranians actually operate, how much contradictions exist in their life as well as the society. A parent could be against the daughter or the brother, or I don't know, the son, just because they don't agree. And it's very interesting that right now, I think everyone is hoping that it improves, the protest is going to improve the Iranian society, but as Bänoo said, any minute the government can reinforce everything. So is it still the struggle? Is it still going? Yeah.
There is another poem that I wrote, again, impersonating the father of someone who has been arrested, and is in this book as well. Hossein Ronaqi's father released a video when he was arrested. And that also really, really impacted me. So I became Hossein Ronaqi's father in the other book. The other poem is called Urgent Report. So for those of you who want to look that up. Read it, okay. So I will read it. Where is it? What page is it? Let's find it. Yeah, 85, yeah. So again, I just transcribed it and poeticized it. In this poem, I don't exist. The speaker is Ahmad Ronaqi, the elderly father of Hussein. Urgent report. In the name of Allah, urgent report to the people of Iran, the Islamic Republic officials, Chief Judiciary, Ministry of Intelligence, and the Commander-in-Chief. I hereby inform you that my son, Hussein, is under torture. I have just received a phone call from an unknown number that they are taking Hussein to the torture chamber in Evin prison to extract forced confessions from him. Hussein is vomiting blood. He is in very critical condition. No one in Iran is paying attention. Who is responsible? Chief Judiciary, I sent letters to you. Is torture legal in the Islamic Republic? Is torture legal in the Constitution? Is confession under torture acceptable to the courts? They are killing Hussein as we speak. Hussein is under torture. Chief Judiciary, Your Honor, you allow torture under your command. You cannot preside over the Department of Justice. Your officials are killing my son. The gate to human rights is closed in Iran. In the Islamic Republic of Iran, the officials are not answerable. They are appointed to kill government officials in Iran. Is this social justice? Is this religion? Hussein is now under torture by the intelligence. I hope you come to believe in God. None of you believe in God. If you did, you wouldn't do this. I ask all humans, all the world. I ask all the countries that respect human rights. I ask the United Nations, the International Court of Justice in The Hague, and everyone in a position of influence to stop them from killing my son. Hussein is under torture. If anything happens to Hussein, you are all responsible. All of you. Thank you so much.
I just want to say that I do appreciate this kind of event because it's educational, it's eye-opening, it's infuriating. I couldn't say the word. It makes me mad. And I think that's maybe by design, and I think that's the goal. And so for that, I say that it's done. It's it's achieved that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes.
Just last word for Summer. That reading was phenomenal.
The Yvonne Bromer.
Reading that you did.
I did it last night and we sort of talked about it and I said, it's like a rap.
I wanted to say the rhythm was like a rap, and the way you started it, the way you ended, the way you just slowed down in the middle. I recorded you. I hope it's a good one. I don't know.
Thank you.
It was fantastic. I was never shaken before hearing a piece of poem. You made me really feel that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you
so
for
much.
that.
Oh, thank you
Wanted
so
to
much.
acknowledge how
Summer
how much, yeah.
the reason why we are here.
I know. I mean, she's a force, but then
Yes,
she
she's
read
a
it
force of
as a forceful woman up there. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
The that was the
first
one
one
that
that-
she read. The
What
first.
she read, the
yeah.
first
Yeah,
one.
yeah, by
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah.
Canadian.
Man,
For the
man,
Canadian,
man,
yeah.
much of-
Phenomenal.
Beautiful. Well,
Well, the
thank you.
poem, the
Yes.
poem made it
Yes.
really.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Thank
I was an instrument.
And thank you for
Very
what you
effective one.
said.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for this.
Yeah. this
Thank
is
you so much.
special.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you. We would be happy to autograph copies for you. That will support the bookstore that has actually hosted us, and it would be also good for the publisher. It would encourage other publishers and other bookstores to take on these projects. So I know some holidays are coming up. Think about people you love, people who need to know this. We would be happy to autograph. Thank you so much.
Thank you.